Hey, friend, welcome to the podcast. You Are Significant, the podcast where you will hear real stories from real people and we will get down into the truths of your own significance. You were created on purpose for a purpose with seeds of greatness inside of you. Now, let's get down to it. Hey, friends, I'm recording this episode for you pretty late in the evening. I've been to really the third funeral in about a month's time for an amazing, beloved gentleman. And he was 83, but you would not know it. He was so full of life and he is going to be so missed. It's so funny because he loved science and he was a very smart man. He was a professor of science. And then he went back to what he loved, and that was teaching high schoolers and mentoring them. His family loved him. He had three sons and he mentored science fairs with 400 projects coming in, all the details of that. His son got up and shared about what it was like to run a science fair and actually went into the details of what had to happen, which was interesting to me because I've done so many events over the years as a homeschool mom, helping homeschoolers have a celebration every year with history projects, art projects, getting those judged and awarded first, second place, and third place winners. So it was just amazing. And then he also loved to be an Elvis impersonator, and he would put on a sequin jumpsuit and go sing with his voice songs at different talent shows and even the kindergarten graduation at the school where he ended up teaching in his last 10 years. He was currently teaching a class at 83 years old, dual enrollment science, 10th grade science. So that is a perspective that I come to you with tonight as I record this episode for you this week. And, one of the things that God brought to mind from another funeral that our church was helping with and taking food to help the family as they grieve. And that I'd signed up to take rolls to that funeral, the meal, and I just didn't connect all my dots, and I failed. I had a fail. Ooh, that can be a trigger for me when I fail at something that I cannot change. I mean, by the time I realized, oh, I was supposed to take rolls over there, and I signed up on one of those food apps where they've organized the food and who's going to bring what. By the time I remembered it, it was the next day, and I was like, oh, I hope they had enough rolls. And they did. Thankfully, somebody else had brought extra. So I feel like that was the Holy Spirit intervening and taking care of that family, even in the humanness of those who were providing the meal, i.e., me forgetting to bring rolls. But one of the things that when I was talking to one of the coordinators for that Wednesday night, she said, well, you didn't know them because I'm new, right? I've only lived here 9 weeks or so. And we've been coming to church since last um, August. It just took a long time to get our house ready to put on the market and sold. And so we finally actually moved in January, mid January, and placed membership at this church. And so it was one of their church members, and there was two different churches that were helping bring the food. And but And I thought that was so gracious of her, right? When I'm like, "Oh, I forgot to bring the rolls and I'm so sorry." And she was like, "It's okay. You didn't even know them." And I said, "Well, that's how you get to know people is by doing things." And it inspired me to talk tonight about going from being a stranger to being a friend. I grew up a preacher's daughter. We moved every 2 years, not because that was our church's program for my dad as a minister. It was just how it often worked out is that about every 2 years we moved until I was 10, and we moved to Illinois, and my dad started preaching at a church in Washington, Illinois, and he preached there 4 years, and then he started preaching for a neighboring town called Metamora, and he preached for Metamora for 13 years. So they lived there 17 years. But I graduated high school, so I didn't live there that long. I moved to Alabama to come to college, and but I still lived there from the time I was 10 until I was 18. And so, but that meant moving a lot. And in fifth grade, we moved 3 times. And so it became easy. It still is easy for me to meet people and make new friends, make fast friends, genuine friends. The hard part for me is when all of the dust kind of settles and it's not new anymore, like digging in to really start to grow a deeper relationship. I think is that not harder for a lot of us? That stage of friendship at the beginning where everything is new and exciting and you're just getting to know each other, kind of like in dating. When you first start dating someone and you're like, "Oh, your favorite color is purple too, mine is too," or you were there at that concert, I went to that concert too. And once you get past all of the like wowiness of it, and it's like, okay, what are we going to talk about now? Then, it gets a lot harder. And it's like, okay, we got to get down to the meat of the friendship. But I wanted to back up off of that and talk just a little bit about what was said and a couple of things I've heard that are said about friendships. And one is, well, you don't know them, you didn't know them. And the other is, well, they don't know me. And I had a different friend one time. She had an important event in her life coming up, and she was like, I mean, I felt like these people knew her. I knew the people that knew her. And she was like, they don't know me. And that just it took me aback, as we say here in the South. It's like, wow, okay, they don't know you. Well, have you let them in? Why not? Why don't they know you? So it's really important it reminded me of the psalm or proverb that says, "He who hath friends must show himself friendly." And if we're going to have friends, then we have to let people in. And the way to make friends is by jumping in and doing things and getting to know people. So that's what we're going to talk about tonight. So, the starting point, we were made for connection. Okay. So, a lot of times it's just easy. It's easier to think, well, I'm not going to let anybody in. I don't need people. I can just do this, handle this, be this by myself. And that way I can avoid pain, the pain of rejection, the pain of betrayal, the pain of, being lied to, the pain of not being chosen, not feeling enough. Like there's a lot that goes on in a relationship. There's a lot that we risk, but there's also so much to be gained if we are willing to take that risk. And when we do and the friendship is reciprocated, then there's so much joy to be felt and so much love to be felt. And I think it's so important for me. It's one of the ways that I have grown stronger to have more friends is to always remember I'm loved by God. Whether they love me or not, He loves me. And that's whose love I'm channeling to them. And so even if they're not sure, even if they're almost side eyeing me, one of the things at our new church we had that we're going to now, we had been at another church for about 4 months. And I absolutely fell in love with the people at that church. And I miss them so much. And it's like, God, why did you let us meet all the people in this church? And then we are going to move, you know. And we knew some of them already, but getting to worship and really worship from the heart, um, it just brings you even so much more close. And so it was like I felt like God was showing me what's possible. And so when we came here and we joined this church, then they also had like an intermission, but the one we had been at before called it a meet and greet, and everybody would get up and greet each other and say, "Hey, how are you?" and give each other a hug and like really care. And so when we came to this church, everybody just seemed kind of shy and quiet and honestly just a little bit disconnected, even though that's me being a little bit judgmental. I know, outside looking in. But it was just a different vibe, right? They didn't have that tradition started yet of get up, get out of your seat, go meet people, get to know each other, really love each other. One of the things that the other church did too is they had small groups in each other. In each, excuse me, I'm going to take a drink. They had small groups in each other's home. And I think that helps people really become more like a family and more close when they get together and it's outside of the church building. So we were created for a connection. And when we can really understand that and admit that and come out of our denial that I don't need anyone, I'm fine by myself. No, God created us for community. In Genesis 2:18 it says, "It is not good that man should be alone. I will make him a helper comparable to him." And this is after Adam had already named all the animals. There just wasn't any animal that was going to be a suitable companion. And so then God made Eve, and then they had a family, and then they multiplied and began to populate the earth. So we were not designed for isolation. And I think we all learned this during the pandemic really well, right? That, we are not meant to be isolated and stay to ourselves. We do need each other. Life happens, rejection, busyness, fear, hurt. We start to believe the lies sometimes that maybe we're better off alone. But Proverbs 18:24 is where it says, "A man who has friends must himself be friendly, but there is a friend who sticks closer than a brother." And I have some friends like that that they have stuck closer to me than even a family member. And I'm so, so grateful for the friendships that I have. And many of you who are listening are that very kind of friend to me. And I'm so grateful for you. But what if neither one of us had taken the risk? What if no one had said hi? And what if no one had began to open up and share real meaningful things with each other? Then the friendship wouldn't exist. and that would be so sad. So, I am so grateful for real, true, vulnerable friendship. Um, a man who has friends must himself be friendly. That's an invitation. It means if I want meaningful friendships, I have to lead with friendliness. And I love that because that means it starts with me. It doesn't start with the other person. It starts with me. And I can only control me. I cannot control what other people do. And I just feel kind of like the seed sower who, was sowing that seed and it fell on different kinds of ground. I'm not in control of whether that ground is rocky or whether it's good ground or whether it seems good, but then it's shallow and the sun comes up. A problem happens and that's the seed is scorched. And in a friendship, that could be, nobody's perfect. Somebody's going to make a mistake at some point, and you're quickly going to learn, is there forgiveness? Or is there just going to be judgment and blame and distrust and it's going to be over? And it's okay. Some friends are going to withstand that test. And it's not a matter of you being perfect so that no one ever dislikes you or leaves you. No, be yourself. Be who you are. You were created in God's image. You are absolutely enough. You are a good friend, especially if you're practicing like the 10 Commandments, because they're in the New Testament and the Old Testament, other than the one about the Sabbath day, but we are commanded to worship in the New Testament. And so if you are that kind of friend who's honest, who loves God, who loves others, who, like the two commandments that sum up the 10 now that are in the New Testament, love the Lord your God with all your heart, soul, mind, and strength. And the second is like unto it, love your neighbor as yourself. If you are that kind of person, you're a good friend. You are. And so if they can't see it, that's not your fault. Keep being friendly. And the people who are supposed to be your friend are going to turn from strangers into friends. You're going to become a person who has more friends than you have time. You're just going to be a friend magnet. So I think we've pretty well talked about the two lies that keep us lonely, but I want to just share a few scriptures with you on that. So they don't know me. Well, of course they don't know you. First, you have to show up, speak up, and take the step of faith to start sharing your life. Are you inviting them over? Are you saying yes when you get asked to go eat? If they say, "Hey, you want to go eat at barbecue with us after the thing?" Do you say, "Yeah, I'll go, sure. Thank you so much for inviting me." And then while you're there, do you open up? Do you talk? Do you share things? Do you ask questions? Or are you just sitting there like a clam, all clammed up and closed up and you know, well, they're not going to get anything out of me. Of course not. You're going to be friendly when you go. And Ecclesiastes 4 9 and 10 says, two are better than one because they have a good reward for their labor. For if they fall, one will lift up his companion. But woe to him who is alone when he falls, for he has no one to help him up. You need people who will help you up, but they won't be there unless you let them in. And what about I don't know them? It's a similar idea. How could you? The only way to go from a stranger to a friend is to spend time with people. So open up your schedule. Don't always be busy. Don't always be on the run. I've had to work on this where I've got one foot turned to the right and my body's half slanted forward and it's like I've got to go, that posture of being in flight. And so I've had to learn to like stand more square, relax, breathe, listen, be a little more casual. and let people in. And especially since I'm in recovery for codependency, um, that can be hard. And I'm also in recovery for church hurt. And so, it's a decision. And I think it has really helped me to do the four-sided breath. Just take a breath. That can be done feather light where they cannot even tell you're doing it. You can address your nervous system even in standing in the space of the moment. Um, and pray, at just like Nehemiah, he asked God to help you. Help me to be still. Help me to feel peace in this moment and take time to get to know this person and give them a chance. And so, the only way to go from a stranger to a friend is to spend some time, and set up a date to get together, and then follow through and actually go. Don't cancel. Set up a time to have lunch or have them over for lunch, brunch on a Saturday. I met somebody for brunch today, and we just had the most beautiful time. We've been friends through my exercise business and my plexus business, and I actually met with her, and we had breakfast, and it was just wonderful to actually get to know her. So spend time, join the group, sit at the table. Hebrews 10:24 and 25 says, "Let us consider one another in order to stir up to love and good works." So, you don't want to forsake your friend, especially before you've even gotten to know them. The more isolated you feel, the more you need to gather with others. Don't lean into isolation. Back up from isolation and lean into friendship. Back up from being the stranger and lean into, how can I be more warm? How can I serve this person? What need do they have that I can help fill? Whether that's someone that could be a help, or you yourself could be a help. There, just trust that God is going to show you why He's brought you together with this other person. There's something really amazing there. So, um, let's talk about how to move from being isolated to being surrounded by real life giving friendships. Here are some steps that have worked for me and women that I coach. Be the inviter. If you're always waiting to be invited, then you could be waiting a long time and you're not in control of that. And, don't worry about it. Don't sit in that, well, I wasn't invited, and be resentful. Just decide to be the one who coordinates some fun stuff. Don't sit around waiting for someone to invite you to the table. Set your own. Start small. You could just invite a friend for coffee. If you have really been isolating and not doing this, just invite a friend to go on a walk. Meet up at a park on a pretty day and go for a walk together. It could be a coffee if you're a coffee drinker. It could just be hanging around a little extra after, church is over, or that small group is over, or CR is over. Like, just hang around. Don't be the first one out the door. Like, just when people are standing around, you stand around and listen. A lot of times, part of being a good friend doesn't even mean knowing what to say, which is one of my fears. I'm like, what are we going to talk about? I don't know what to say. Nothing's coming to mind. Well, a lot of times, if you will just listen, it being a good listener is really what people want more than being around a good talker. Volunteer often and get involved. This one is big. If you want to build friendships, go where the people are. Serve at your church, help out at your kids' school, join your neighborhood association or a local group. Like, you could maybe join the chamber, or if your community has a painting class, go to the painting class. If they have a town festival, go find out when the town festival is and go and look around and meet people. talk to them, look at what they brought for their booth. Yes, some people are going to be not from that community, but there'll be other people from your community going. A good place too to meet them is like at the food truck. Strike up conversations at the food truck. Hey, are you from around here? I'm new. Like every restaurant Don and I are going to right now, I'm saying, "Oh, that was so good. We really enjoyed it. This was our first time to come. We're new." And so then they're like, "Oh, we're so glad you're here. Welcome to our community. Our business has been here for so many, years." And they'll start talking a little bit about the history of the restaurant and all of that kind of thing. It's just fun, right? To get to know people. So volunteer, go to things that your community is putting on, and then show up consistently. Don't just come once and then disappear. Real relationships are built in layers. So that takes the pressure off. Like you can meet someone at church, get to know them, meet someone at a new gym that you go to for a class, or you can meet someone at the park, take your dog to the park or your kids to the park. Someone else is there and say, "Hey, I live in so and so neighborhood. What neighborhood do you live in?" And just try. A lot of times people do want to talk. They wouldn't be out if they didn't want to make a friend too. Ask intentional questions. Go beyond the small talk. Ask about their story. What's God doing in their life? Or what church do they go to? Where do they go to the gym? How long have they been going there? Why do they like it? You'll be amazed how quickly hearts open when someone feels seen by you. Be vulnerable first. Somebody has to go first. And again, I'm not in control of anyone else, but I am of me. So, I can say, "Hi, how are you? How's your day? The weather is beautiful. Oh, your dog is so cute. Oh, your baby's so cute. How old is your baby?" Just start with the obvious and go first. Share personal things, your own struggles, your journey, your viewpoint. Um, try not to be controversial first conversation, but be vulnerable. Just be genuine, be thoughtful, be kind, be loving, be add value, share something that could be encouraging or helpful. And that's going to create a desire to meet up again. Like you can connect on Facebook. "Hey, are you on Facebook?" Or, "Hey, here's my number. What's yours?" Like, however you prefer to communicate and stay in touch, just offer that, before you go separate ways to create a new friend. Pray for that friend. Even if you don't exchange numbers or Facebook profiles, then just pray for them. Thank God that you met them that day. Ask Him, "Hey, maybe can our paths cross again? Would you please help me to continue to make new friends here?" And even if it's somewhere you've lived for a long time, you're not like me where I've moved. This can just be a shift, because as we are being transformed into the image of Christ, as we are growing and becoming more, then sometimes we have to shift. And if you haven't been being as friendly as you wanted to be to create friendships and go from being a stranger to a friend, then you may be in your community and reconnecting with people you knew in high school, or you may just be deciding, "You know what, I'm not going to stay home all the time. I'm going to get back out. I'm going to find a church to go to and start worshiping in person again. I'm going to go to the town fair and say hi to people I see that I know." Maybe old high school buddies, or it may be people that were at a church you went to before. Like sometimes why we're not connecting and we're being a stranger is we're afraid of something from the past that we haven't finished coming to peace with. Journal about that. Write down, like, ask yourself, "Why am I afraid? Why am I isolating?" Find someone safe, maybe even get a little counseling. where you meet with a counselor that's paid to keep what you say confident in confidence, and you can just open up and talk away for an hour. I've definitely had counselors where I'm like, I don't need you to ask me anything. I don't need you to fix me. I just need someone that I can talk to, that I know what I say is staying right here. I just need someone that I can talk to, because as a coach, as a minister's wife, as normally I'm that friend people come to tell things and get advice, or just to listen, me to listen to them. And so everybody needs someone to listen. So that you may need to find a counselor if you don't have a safe friend that you feel like, okay, I can talk to this person. I love going to Celebrate Recovery for that reason, because you do have anonymity and confidentiality there. Everyone is opening up and sharing, so everyone wants it to be kept confidential. And so if you don't have that, or you don't trust that, find you a good counselor and go to a counselor. A lot Some people's insurance will pay for that, so you could check and see if yours does. Um, but there are some numbers you can call for free counseling. So you could check on that in your area as well. So go past the hurts, go past the, expectations or fears of the past, and just move forward one baby step. Pick one thing. What is one next step that you could take from these ideas that I have shared with you on this episode? What's one thing that you want to work on to help you move forward from being a stranger to having friends? Maybe you're the stranger, or maybe you're not letting other people in that are already right in front of you and want to be considered known by you, would want to be invited if you had a birthday party or any other kind of event where you normally invite people to come. They would want to be invited by you, but you have to open your heart up to say, you know what, I'm going to let more people be known by me. I'm going to say, instead of, I don't know them, I'm going to say, I have tons of friends. I know lots of people. So Jesus is our model. He didn't wait for friends to come to him, did he? He went out and chose them. He chose 12 apostles. He started teaching everywhere he went, which is, talking, being open, sharing. And that made him have so many people who fell in love and followed him. John 15:15, no longer do I call you servants, but I have called you friends. He did life with them. He ate meals, he asked questions, he even gave correction, he gave forgiveness, which, even as a friend, I'm not Jesus. So I'm not forgiving their sins like Jesus can, but I can still be forgiving, so that there's not friction, there's not stuff in the way creating this wall. There is safety in our friendship when there's forgiveness, and most of all, there's love. And so that's how Jesus was, and that's how I want to be, and that's the kind of friend I am, and that's the kind of friend I'm attracting. Jesus shows us that being a friend is sacrificial, it's not transactional. It's not about, well, what are you going to give me? If I give, then what are you going to give? I'm not keeping score. And if you start keeping score, it's not going to be a fun friendship. That's really not friendship. True friends, it's a loving relationship, and you have freedom when you approach the relationship with love and forgiveness as the foundation. You have the most freedom, and they're going to feel that freedom, and they're going to be drawn to you. So this podcast episode is not about setting boundaries in unsafe friendships. I know that can happen, but this is about how to be a friend and how to let people in and how to be the kind of friend yourself that goes from being a stranger to a friend. So, who are you being a friend to? John 15:13 says, "Greater love has no one than this, than to lay down one's life for his friends." Woo, Jesus. Okay, that's like jumping in the deep end. I'm just asking you to stick a toe in the shallow end. Like, go, can you call a friend and say, let's have a coffee? Meet me for breakfast at IHOP, or meet me, at the park, and let's go for a walk. Want to go walk with me on Tuesday morning, 9 a.m. at the fitness park? Like, ask and just stick your toe in the shallow end. So, friend, if you've been saying they don't know me or I don't know them, I want to lovingly challenge you today. Go first. Be the one who jumps in. Go ahead and call them and say the thing. Invite them. Be the inviter. And believe in them. Believe in the friendship. Believe that it will go well. Have positive thoughts about this, and open up your heart. Don't be closed up like a clam. Be the one who goes from being a stranger to a friend first. And I believe that when you do that, you are going to feel so rewarded, so happy that you said yes and that you took that leap. I'm going to pray with you to end this episode. Dear God, thank you so much for our friends. Thank you for giving us the ability to love and to channel your love to others, to not harbor that love and store it up in the barn just for ourselves and only for keeping it for ourselves. That is a miserable way to live, to not truly love anyone else but oneself. I pray, God, that you would help this friend listening to this episode right now to open her heart, his heart to you and your love, and remember how you gave Jesus for them. And if you were willing to sacrifice your only son, then we can be willing to take that risk of being enough, of being loved, of being with someone that we can trust, that will be loyal, that will maybe be a lifelong friend that we can go on trips with, go eat with, tell our deepest secrets, and someone who will help carry our burden, and will be like Christ. Will be Christ-like, not perfect, but be someone we can praise you for, and we can see that they were sent by you to be our friend. Thank you, God, so much for friendships. Thank you for your forgiveness of our sin. Help us to forgive others the way that you forgive us. And thank you so much for the friendship that you give us and the love you have shown us through your Son. And it's in his name, Jesus, that we pray. Amen. Thank you for tuning in to You Are Significant. I hope this episode inspired you to embrace your own God-given purpose. If this episode inspired you and blessed you, would you please share it out with a friend who needs to be reminded of their own significance? And remember to hit subscribe. Until next time, remember to walk in faith, find the joy, and stand in your significance.